I am Kat Collins. My talk today is about my journey from chef to hacker, extracting previous career skills, infusing them with Infosec, and whipping yourself into a spicy penetration tester. So we have the obligatory, who am I? Here is my daughter, Story, and my dog, Miso. Both the loves of my life, both turds. That is how my dog looks at me most of the time because he wants a treat. And that is how my 11-year-old daughter looks at me most of the time because she's a preteen. And that's what they do, apparently. So I am a security consultant with Secure Ideas. I've been here for almost 2 years. I do mostly pen testing, mostly network and application testing, some API, some mobile, some physical testing. I was laid off from my chef position during COVID and found myself spending a lot of time on my computer. A lot of stuff in the news about, people working from home, the security risks involved with that, hacks, ransomware. And I started looking into that a little bit further. I decided to attend a boot camp. It was a 6-month boot camp with Full Stack Academy, and it was a rough 6 months. It's definitely a boot camp if anybody's interested in going that route. It was during COVID, so there were not a lot of social obligations. My family understood. It was a lot of work. 9 to 6 every day, hour-and-a-half lunch break, and then spend the evening trying to catch up. I didn't have technical background, so all the new technical stuff that I was learning, I processing that and learning that was difficult for me. But I'm glad I did it. So I have a few boring certifications, Security Plus, Splunk. I have the CISP scheduled for June, so I'm studying for that now. Big keyboard nerd. I love keyboards. I've got them all over my office. I change out the keycaps, the switches. Been playing with that quite a bit. I was a chef for 20 years, almost 20 years. I've worked in corporate. My last job was corporate chef for a couple of years, but I've worked in fine dining, country clubs, steakhouses, nonprofit, you name it. I am a big horror fan, mostly like 80s horror films, Jaws, Freddy Krueger, those types of things. Also all over my office. Chicago native, grew up there. I've been in Florida for about 20 years. Gonna stay here. It's warmer. Don't miss the snow so much. So that's all about me. So what is the goal here? This is Antisyphon Hackdown. What are we hacking? Your career, your future. Hacking is creative problem solving, right? Finding innovative solutions. And if you're trying to break into a red team role of Infosec in general, we need to find a way to do that. If you don't have any experience, if you're coming from an unrelated, untechnical field, how do you do that? So you do need to recognize your potential. And that was something that I really struggled with in the beginning. Like I said, I had no technical background. So I was so ate up with learning all the necessary technical skills that I needed that I didn't realize literally until the last week I was in school that I had more to offer than I thought. And we'll talk more about that later. But use your skills and knowledge to improve your life, recognize your potential, to meet your goals. Whether you come from a hospitality background or not, you likely have transferable skills that you don't even realize are relevant. I didn't, like I said. And the question comes up all the time, how do I get into this field? How do I land an offensive role? And that answer is going to be different depending on who you talk to and who you are, right? So as someone who changed careers and came from a non-technical field, I can tell you what I did. I can tell you the mistakes I made. I can tell you the things I may have done right, or that I would or wouldn't do again. My hope is that this helps you to recognize the skills that you have and leverage the resources that are available to you. And those are going to be different for everybody. So Who is this taught for? Everyone. Like paella, because paella is for everyone, right? I mean, you could make paella with vegetables, with seafood, with meat. You can make it inside, outside. You can make it for 2 people, or you can make it for 200. For everybody. This is not just for people from the hospitality industry. That's just my experience. That's what I know. And when I really thought about the years that I spent cooking, since that's what I really loved to do, but I would not have been able to do it well or run a restaurant or a successful catering business had I not picked up or gotten really good at some other things along the way. The byproducts of cooking, the scrap, the leftovers, so to speak. And why do I think that this matters? I noticed when I was in the boot camp that there were a higher number of people from the hospitality industry than anything else. And what difference does it make? You know, if you're from hospitality or you're transitioning from retail or banking or teaching or any other role. But hospitality workers specifically, you know, are often questioned, you know, is this all you do? The classic, you know, server that's trying to be an actor, or the bartender that's writing a book. You know, when you're treated like the help, or like, you know, you're on, you know, this is just a stop on the way to somewhere else, you know, people take out their bad day on you. You're subjected to rough conditions, you know, that are common in so many restaurants. You know, it's easy to feel undervalued and replaceable, and like you are going nowhere, you know, and there aren't a lot of other options. You know, so people are now leaving the industry. You know, restaurants are struggling. They were struggling during COVID. You know, I had to do some soul searching about if I wanted to continue doing what I was doing. An example of some of the conditions. I worked at a restaurant. I mean, it was probably 20 years ago, but the air conditioner, you know, it's Florida, like I said, summertime. Air conditioner couldn't quite handle the load that it was required to keep the dining room cool and the kitchen. So the owners put cardboard over the AC vents in the kitchen to block the air conditioner from working so hard to cool down this hot kitchen, so that the guests in the dining room could be nice and cool. You know, and this was a nice place, you know, so I don't think people realize sometimes the conditions that people work in. And they say, oh, if you don't like it, you know, get another job. You know, I'm not going to tip my server. You know, you're people who don't believe in tipping, and, you know, I'm not going to tip my server. They're getting paid. If you don't get paid enough, get another job. Well, now people are getting other jobs, and, you know, they're still not happy, you know, because you go to your restaurant and you have to, you know, wait too long for, you know, your chicken delight or whatever it is. And hospitality traditionally offers 0 benefits. Not all, but, you know, there's a lot. It's getting better. You know, bigger places have better options. But there's generally, you know, no vacation, no sick time, no insurance. I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone come in sick, myself included, you know, gone to work sick. And that's not good when you're dealing with people or their food. You know, it shouldn't be that way. But I'm going to have sick days. PTO, what's that? I had a server have an accident one time, literally roll his car down the street from the restaurant, refused medical treatment, and walked the rest of the way to work, was like 15 minutes late for his shift. And everybody was like, you know, you need to go to the hospital or whatever. And he was like, I already got to pay to fix my car now. I can't afford to miss a day of work and then go to the hospital, and I'm going to get a bill for, you know, for what? You know, what are they going to give me, some pain? You know, it can be pretty bad. So as much as I love restaurants and cooking, you know, I'm a proponent of, if, you know, if this is more something that's going to fit your life. So some people love cooking and they love serving, they love bartending. It's great. You know, if that fits your lifestyle, 100%, I'm all for it. You know, I love to go to restaurants and get good drinks and get good food. Like, I don't want to stop that. But if somebody takes vacation, they don't usually get paid for it. So you can't take that time to recharge and revive yourself and relax. The pictures here we've got, this is a Food and Wine article from 2019, and one of the chef, being a chef shouldn't kill you. So the restaurant wellness plan for some people is alcohol and self-medication. And, that's not healthy. It's tough. But there are a number of high-profile chefs that have committed suicide or have had very public substance abuse or mental health issues. And it's almost a badge of honor to work harder, longer, and in worse conditions than everyone else. And that's not healthy. Next up, what can I bring to the table? I put this picture in here because, running a restaurant is a bit like being a captain on a pirate ship sometimes, especially when it comes to managing staff. People are fighting and arguing. Things are being stolen. Someone's puking over the railing. Everyone has tattoos, and there's definitely a bottle of rum stashed away somewhere, right? I mentioned earlier that I didn't realize until the last week that I was in school that I didn't, think I had much to offer beyond the technical skills I was very busy acquiring. And we did a resume building exercise the last week of school, and they had hiring managers from the industry that volunteered to meet with us individually and do like a mock interview. The second one I was in, I was talking to the guy, and he asked me a bunch of questions about my resume and the bullet points that I had in there, dug a little bit deeper into my experiences and my past, not much, but enough that he, thought he knew something about me. And he said, someone's going to snatch you up. And I was like, for what exactly? And he said, when I look past, the lines of your resume, I see management experience. You've got a home lab. You just came from a corporate environment, as a corporate chef, but you're familiar with corporate workplace culture. You've got time management skills. You've got writing skills. You've done these articles. You've been in cookbooks and all this stuff. You're organized. You pay attention to details, and you're obviously committed to earning the technical skills you need. Someone's going to see that soon. And I was like, okay, maybe that would be great. But, I was not counting on that. So, excuse me. The third interview I had out of school within 2 weeks was with securities. And one of the owners, Jason, one of the first things he said to me was, so you were a chef. I've never been a chef, but I've seen a lot of what they do. And I feel like you probably have to be pretty organized and think on your feet, be able to make decisions and overcome difficult situations, right? And I felt seen. I was like, wow, maybe that guy was right. Maybe some of these skills that I have are transferable, and I'm learning the technical skills. So you'll likely be surprised too at the pieces of knowledge that you've accumulated over time. And a good hiring manager will recognize that as well. But it's still up to you to call those things out. Look at the challenges and the difficult situations you've had at work, the achievements, accomplishments in, school or work. Experience is experience, and the skills and abilities and lessons learned. Everyone is going to have key things in their backgrounds that are going to be important. Look at the experiences you've had in your current or past roles, identify what those are, and build on those. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, whether you're a chef or a penetration tester. The team you work with can make or break you. So you have to figure out what gaps you can fill and what kind of team you want to be on, where you can thrive, learn, make money, work on open source projects, whatever your goals are. And so what are these soft skills that people speak of? Like my software leg. So soft skills are, to me, they're all about experience and learning from what you've observed in situations you've been in, right? So some people have a natural knack for certain things. Do you have good time management skills because from an early age you were responsible for getting yourselves up and ready for school because parents worked? Did you develop conflict resolution skills because your younger brothers were constantly fighting? My point is that I think we need to learn these things by experiencing them somewhere. Can I tell you that you should communicate better? Sure. Yeah, you should. Can I tell you that you need to have problem solving skills? Yes. And you can read about these things and how certain situations could best be handled, but there's context, there's gray areas, situations involving people with different ideas, experiences, and goals are always going to be subjective. So until you're in it and you experience it, it's a really difficult thing to be able to teach, right? So let's look closer at a couple of these. And you're going to apply what I'm talking about from my perspective to your own personal experiences and pull from that. Try to relate how you've dealt with some of these, or where you feel like you do well, or where you fall short. Recognize that, and you will always be improving in these areas. So, communication. In a restaurant, the kitchen has to communicate with the servers with the customers, the bartenders. We have to communicate with each other, the food runners, the bussers, the guests at the door. Like, it's all a big communication dance when you think about it, right? You know, if you run out of something in the kitchen and you don't tell the servers, and then 6 more people order steak Diane, well, you know, then you're going to have pissed off people. So someone that spent their time in hospitality with one family-owned barbecue joint may have a different perspective and attitude towards customer service, communication, and what that means, than someone who spent years in fine dining and experienced different environments, management styles, and target audiences. But that doesn't make that experience less valuable. So teamwork, so important. People who do well in restaurant roles, servers, bartenders, cooks, they're the team players, you know. The people, and by that I don't mean like do all of someone else's work while somebody else leans on a mop, you know. People that come in late, don't get prep work done, or do a sloppy job, no call, no show, ignore other servers' tables, stuff like that. This puts a strain on everyone, and it's a pretty selfish attitude. And if that's the attitude that you've got, are you suddenly going to be a team player once you go to a tech, corporate, offensive role, any other type of environment, no matter what your previous job was? Probably not. So we always cross-trained in the kitchen for some of these reasons. If you know how to properly support the people you work with, again, it doesn't mean you do someone else's work. If you can properly support each other, it's better for everybody. You know, people are coming in, they're going to eat. They want to eat no matter how hungover or sad or tired or short-staffed you are. Those people are coming in the door, and you got to figure out a way to serve them hot or cold food in a timely manner and make sure that they're taken care of. So cross-training in the kitchen, you know, our goal was to get out the best food in a timely manner. And if you're not familiar with how a restaurant kitchen works, each cook is usually responsible for a station, whether that's, you know, we'll call it salad station, grill station, dessert station, whatever it is. So there's going to be some times where one station, you can't control how many people are going to order chicken delight. You know, it just might be real popular that night. So the person who's got that on their station is getting slammed now, while somebody else is standing over here, you know, picking the lint out from under their fingernails. Like, shouldn't do that in a restaurant, by the way. That was probably a bad example, but I think you know what I'm saying. So we cross-trained in the kitchen because if this station was getting slammed, I wanted somebody else to be able to jump over there if they weren't busy and help them out. And you have to deal with different personalities too. You have to communicate with people and talk to them and find out what they need and how you can best help them. Like I had two cooks, Alex and Amanda. Amanda wanted Alex to wait until she asked. She was like a little tornado, and she, wanted to do what she did without anybody in her way until she needed help, and then she would ask. Alex just wanted Amanda to jump in. He was like, if you see me struggle, just jump in, just start grabbing stuff. So, those are things you have to learn. Time management, the capability to prioritize tasks, manage deadlines, complete projects, ticket times in a restaurant. We try to stay under 15 minutes. If food takes too long, people start getting upset. We all know that. You have customers in a hurry. We had weddings, caterings where everything had to be set up and people walk in the door. You find out really quickly that people are always early for weddings, always, like really early, like 30 minutes. Emotional intelligence. We can't scream and shout at customers, as much as people would like to sometimes. Can't do that. So, what do? You smile and you go and you cry or scream the walk in. And how do you teach creativity? How do you teach someone to come up with innovative ideas, explore new possibilities, think outside the box? I feel like it's self-explanatory in a restaurant, especially the kitchen and the bar. But experience helps here. You look stuff up on your own time, recipes, cocktails. You go to other places to experience their food. Restaurant people meet up at bars and talk about work ad nauseum. Hackers have conferences, but it's kind of the same things going on. Critical thinking, also very important. I'm going to go to the next slide because we are getting a little close on time here. But what do we got here? So where do I start? If you want to get into Infosec, red team, blue team, penetration tester, where do I start? We've got the traditional model, which is still valid. Not saying anything wrong about that at all. Go to college, you get certifications, hands-on experience. It's not for everyone. Go to college, get the job, get the experience, move forward. It's the same for many careers, right? No different here. But tech in general and penetration testing is such a new field that these days you can kind of build your own path, right? How quickly you move forward and what route you end up on can be totally up to you. So I mentioned I went to boot camp, but there's a lot of online training and learning. Antisyphon training is amazing. There's so much you can do here. This summit is an example of that. I know you all know that there's a million resources online. Just, how do you whittle those down into the things that you actually need? That does take some time. Build a home lab. Get involved in open source projects. Certifications, those are not for everybody either. Some places want those. Some places don't care. If you can do the work, if you can prove that in other ways. Networking, great. Get on LinkedIn, talk to people. Things are starting to ramp up again. Conferences are in full swing. So those are good places to meet people, make connections, and build a portfolio. All those things are going to show prospective employers what you can offer. And you're learning the technical skills. You can learn the technical skills. You're always going to be learning the technical skills. We've got a little food for thought here. So this graphic represents two things to me. One, these are some of the things you need in order to be a good penetration tester, right? Obviously, technical skills, curiosity, because you need to know how things work and be willing to dig deeper and find out more. creativity is a good one because sometimes you think to try something during a test and you may have not seen it before, and what you're testing might react in an unexpected way. That happens quite a bit. Persistence. Sometimes you have to keep pushing and keep trying until you get where you need to be. And second, you can approach your entire career this way. By working towards your goals, despite the challenges, obstacles, setbacks, and being creative, curious, and working on your technical skills, you can get there. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
Thanks for watching. Achieve your next level of skills with training courses at antisyphontraining.com.